It began with a tremor, barely noticeable at first. A subtle vibration beneath the streets of Tel Aviv, dismissed by most as a passing truck or distant thunder. But within seconds, the ground roared to life. Buildings shuddered, alarms blared, and the city plunged into chaos. A 10.4 magnitude earthquake, unprecedented in Israel's history, had struck with brutal force. The epicenter, located just outside Jerusalem, sent shockwaves across the region, toppling infrastructure and igniting panic. Emergency sirens pierced the air as citizens scrambled for shelter. Roads cracked open, swallowing vehicles whole. The skyline, once a symbol of modern resilience, now resembled a war zone. Inside the Knesset's underground command center, Foreign Minister Gideon Levy was mid-sentence, briefing officials on escalating tensions with Syria. The room shook violently. Monitors flickered, ceiling panels collapsed, and in a tragic instant, Levy was struck by falling debris. His security detail rushed to extract him, but the damage was done. News of his death spread rapidly, compounding the national trauma. Levy, known for his diplomatic finesse and unwavering calm, had become the highest-ranking casualty of the disaster. Outside, rescue teams mobilized with astonishing speed. The IDF deployed drones to assess damage zones, while international aid offers poured in. Hospitals overflowed, and makeshift triage centers sprang up in parks and stadiums. Amid the devastation, stories of heroism emerged, neighbors pulling strangers from rubble, medics working without rest, volunteers forming human chains to reach trapped survivors. The quake had shattered concrete, but it had also revealed the steel within Israel's people. As the dust settled over Jerusalem, the scale of destruction became clearer. Historic landmarks, centuries-old synagogues, and revered mosques bore the scars of nature's fury. The Western Wall, a symbol of endurance, had fractured in places, its stones dislodged, its plaza littered with debris. Tourists and worshippers who had gathered for morning prayers were evacuated in haste, many injured, some missing. The old city, usually bustling with life, now echoed with sirens and the distant hum of helicopters. It was a scene no one had imagined, and yet it unfolded with chilling precision. International media descended swiftly. CNN, Al Jazeera, BBC, all broadcasting live from the ruins. The world watched as Israel grappled with its darkest hour. The death toll climbed steadily, and among the confirmed casualties were diplomats, journalists, and foreign nationals. The foreign minister's death sent shockwaves through global diplomatic circles. Tributes poured in from Washington, Berlin, Riyadh, and beyond. President Donald Trump issued a statement expressing deep sorrow and pledging immediate humanitarian support. Within hours, U.S. military aircraft were en route with supplies, medics, and engineers. But amid the global response, tension simmered. Conspiracy theories surfaced online, suggesting foul play or seismic manipulation. Some pointed fingers at regional adversaries, others blamed internal infrastructure failures. The Israeli government, however, remained focused on rescue and recovery. Prime Minister Cohen addressed the nation, his voice steady but somber, urging unity and resilience. "We will rebuild," he declared, stone by stone, heart by heart. In the face of catastrophe, Israel's spirit refused to break. Communities opened their homes to the displaced. Religious leaders of all faiths stood side by side, offering prayers and comfort. The quake had shaken the earth, but it had also stirred something deeper, a collective will to endure. 3 days after the quake, Israel entered a new phase, reckoning. The initial shock had passed, but the emotional aftershocks lingered. Families searched for loved ones, clinging to hope as rescue crews combed through rubble. The government released updated casualty figures, over 3,000 confirmed dead, tens of thousands injured, and entire neighborhoods rendered uninhabitable. The foreign minister's funeral, held at Mount Herzl, drew mourners from across the globe. His widow, Miriam Levy, stood stoic as dignitaries paid their respects. The ceremony was broadcast live, a moment of national mourning and reflection. In Tel Aviv, engineers and geologists convened to analyze what had gone wrong. Israel, though situated near tectonic boundaries, had never experienced a quake of this magnitude. Fault lines previously considered dormant had awakened with terrifying force. Experts warned of potential aftershocks, urging citizens to remain vigilant. Temporary shelters were erected in schoolyards and stadiums. Aid distribution centers operated around the clock, handing out food, water, and medical supplies. Volunteers worked shoulder to shoulder with soldiers, their shared purpose overriding political and religious divides. Meanwhile, the international response intensified. The United Nations dispatched emergency teams. Russia sent mobile hospitals. China offered structural engineers. Arab nations, some with strained ties to Israel, extended condolences and support. In a rare gesture, Saudi Arabia's crown prince issued a statement of solidarity, calling the tragedy a moment for humanity to rise above politics. The gesture was met with cautious optimism. Social media became both lifeline and battleground. Hashtags like #IsraelQuake and #PrayForJerusalem trended globally. But misinformation spread just as fast. Fake videos, doctored images, and baseless claims. Israeli cyber units worked to counter digital chaos, ensuring accurate updates reached the public. In a world already fractured by conflict, the earthquake had become a test of truth, unity, and resilience. In the days that followed, Israel's resilience turned into resolve. Reconstruction efforts began even as aftershocks rattled nerves. The government launched Operation Phoenix, a nationwide initiative to rebuild critical infrastructure, restore housing, and provide psychological support. Architects and urban planners proposed quake-resistant designs, while engineers worked around the clock to stabilize weakened structures. Schools resumed classes in tents and temporary buildings. Children, though shaken, returned with backpacks and stories, some heartbreaking, others hopeful. The rhythm of life, though altered, began to pulse again. Foreign Minister Levy's legacy became a rallying point. His speeches were replayed across networks, his words now carrying deeper weight. Peace is built not in silence, but in the noise of effort, he had once said. His office, preserved as a memorial, became a site of pilgrimage. Citizens left flowers, letters, and candles. His successor, Yael Ben David, vowed to honor his vision, pledging to continue diplomatic outreach and strengthen regional ties. Her appointment marked a historic moment, Israel's first female foreign minister stepping into leadership during a national crisis. Meanwhile, scientific communities worldwide turned their attention to the quake. Seismologists from Japan, Chile, and Turkey collaborated with Israeli experts to decode the anomaly. Theories emerged about tectonic shifts in the Dead Sea Rift, previously underestimated. Satellite imagery revealed dramatic changes in terrain. The quake had not only reshaped cities, it had altered the land itself. Some researchers warned of a new seismic era in the region, urging preparedness and international cooperation. Despite the trauma, Israel's response became a case study in crisis management. From grassroots mobilization to global diplomacy, the nation demonstrated agility, unity, and compassion. The earthquake had tested every system, but it had also revealed every strength. And as the sun rose over a battered but unbowed skyline, the message was clear. Survival was just the beginning. Weeks passed, and the scars of the earthquake remained etched across Israel's landscape. But the nation had shifted from survival to transformation. In Haifa, a new memorial park was unveiled, honoring victims and first responders. Its centerpiece, a fractured column rising from the earth, symbolizing both rupture and resilience. School children planted olive trees around it, each one representing a life lost. The ceremony was quiet, solemn, and deeply moving. In Jerusalem, the rebuilt foreign ministry reopened with a new wing named after Gideon Levy. Inside, a digital archive preserved his work, speeches, and diplomatic achievements. His final memo, unfinished, recovered from the rubble, was framed at the entrance. It read, "Peace is not a destination. It is the road we build together." That line became a national mantra, printed on banners, etched into stone, and spoken in classrooms. The economy, though battered, began to rebound. International investment surged, driven by admiration for Israel's recovery model. Tech firms pivoted to disaster response innovations. Startups developed AI-powered rescue bots, seismic sensors, and trauma support apps. The tragedy had sparked a wave of ingenuity. Universities launched new programs in geoscience and emergency management. A generation of students, shaped by the quake, chose paths of service and resilience. And in the quiet moments between rebuilding and remembrance, stories continued to surface. A nurse who worked 72 hours straight. A boy who led rescuers to his trapped family. A rabbi and imam who prayed side by side over the ruins. These weren't headlines. They were the heartbeat of a nation rediscovering itself. The earthquake had taken lives, shaken faith, and rewritten history. But it had also revealed something unshakable. In the face of unimaginable loss, Israel stood tall, not just rebuilt, but reborn.